Welcome to my life. This is what I do. This is what I do for hours and hours and hours. I drive through Iowa. It's very beautiful. It's very flat. Kind of the same for miles on end. I listen to the Grateful Dead or 90s on 9. I am my own worst enemy. I kick the living shit out of me. Please tell me why. Hey folks, I'm here at my hotel room in Iowa. I'm in Pella, Iowa, in the middle of the state. And I started 3 weeks ago in Massachusetts and Maine. And then I went to New York. And then I flew to Minnesota and I had a show in Duluth. And then I had 2 college shows in southern Minnesota. And then I drove to Kentucky. And then I drove to Iowa and I had 6 shows in a row in Iowa. And tonight is my last night. That's why I look like I fell into a dumpster right now. I'm grinding it out. I'm making it, and I don't know if you guys remember, but I made a Facebook post a while ago about what it would look like if I grew my hair out. And so yeah, it looks really weird. I look like a maniac. But anyway, I wanted to talk about something that I haven't discussed in any of my blogs in like great extent, and it's too bad because I've been talking about myself so much. But there are so many other amazing artists out there, and every time I get down or I start thinking like I don't have any more inspiration, the thing without fail that turns it all around is realizing how many other amazing artists there are out there whose work I find inspiring and who always get me back going again and writing again. So I want to talk about some of my favorite writers and encourage you guys to check out their work if you're ever bored and looking for people's work to discover. So I'm going to start with poetry. When I first got into spoken word, I saw the pre-Broadway performance of Def Poetry Jam in San Francisco, and some of those cast members are people whose work really, really influenced mine. One of those people, he's probably the single biggest influence on my spoken word poetry. His name is Beau Sia, B-E-A-U space S-I-A. Now, why do I like Beau Sia's work? How do I count the ways? He's really funny. He's really charismatic on stage. His work is sarcastic, but it also, well, sometimes it's sarcastic, sometimes it's incredibly heartfelt. There's always multiple layers to it emotionally, and even when the work is really funny, it's always got a heart of gold. It's always got a serious message behind it. It's incredibly clever. So I encourage you guys to look up his work because it's amazing, and he's one of the most truthful writers that I know. Another guy from that show, Steve Coleman, I'm going to post his name below. I really loved his wordplay when I got involved. And Rafael Casal. He's featured on the 2nd track of my album. He's very much influenced like the quick runs that I've done and a lot of my work. Rafael space C-A-S-A-L. He's got a new free album out. He's a rapper and a poet, and so that's influenced me too. Definitely check his work out. If you don't know who Saul Williams is, he's basically the godfather. He's probably the most successful person who's come out of the spoken word movement in terms of exposure, and certainly in terms of crossing over into music. His wordplay is incredible. One of his favorite lines kind of, to me, encapsulates what's brilliant about Saul, but he wrote in one of his poems, "I bring tear to the eye of the storm." Might seem like nothing to you guys, but really hits me. A lot of his lines are similarly clever, a lot of wordplay, and a lot of really fantastic musicality in his work. Let's see. Rives. Look this man up. If you like watching TED Talks, those are Technology and Development Conference talks. I highly recommend them if you don't. Rives has given a lot of those talks, and he's really amazing at incorporating multimedia into his poetry, writing really clever, really heartfelt poetry. His name is spelled R-I-V-E-S. I'd say he's the person who inspired my poem Drunk Text Message to God. Drunk Text Mex. drunk text message to God more than anyone else. Definitely look up Rives. Those are some of my biggest poetry influences in the spoken word world. Rappers. I'd say my top 4 or 5 list is Eminem. It's a pretty simple one. Andre 3000 from Outkast. If you follow the Outkast discography, their series of works, it's just amazing how Andre 3000 is consistently good across everything. I mean, Big Boi is an amazing rapper too, but Andre 3000 gets better with every album. His work is so intelligent, it's so lucid, like from one line to the next you can follow his thought process, but it also doesn't seem overly prepared and structured. There's like a combination of looseness and also structure to all of his verses that I find so incredible, and he can spit as fast as he wants. It's always directly in the pocket of the rhythm. It's always really truthful. It's always, it's often very funny. He can sing his ass off. He blurs musical boundaries while still creating work that's really poppy and really accessible. So, yeah, Andre 3000 is just amazing. In terms of one of my favorite rappers who I think doesn't get the attention he deserves, Pharoahe Monch. He started off in a group called Organized Confusion. It's Confusion with a K. Him and this guy, Prince Poe. If you look up the song Bring It On by Organized Confusion, Pharoahe Monch, he has like a couple veiled, like somewhat homophobic lines in it. I encourage you to try and look past that into the amazing syllable content of this song. The stuff that he does with syllables and splitting up the beat and wordplay in that, just in terms of rhythm, to me is one of the most incredible verses of all time. That's Bring It On by Organized Confusion. You'll find it with like just an album cover logo and the track and back of it on YouTube. But Pharoahe Monch, he's behind the song Simon Says, it's probably his biggest hit. Bum, 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 bum. Bring it on, motherfucker, bring it on. Yes, but he also has a lot of amazing songs. Agent Orange is probably a good starting place. His last album was amazing too. Yeah, let's see. Those are some of my top 3. Why don't I talk about Playwrights? I kind of was a theater. I got an admission to make, guys. I was kind of a theater kid in high school. I played baseball too. Reppin'. So I was a sports kid, but I was also a theater kid. Every year I would do baseball in the spring, and I would do a winter or fall play. And I went to school for acting and screenwriting. And if you're ever looking for plays to read, my favorite playwright of all time is a guy named Martin McDonagh. I believe he's Irish, but he gets sometimes criticized for writing like stage Irish stuff. He might be Scottish. I'm not sure actually. My favorite play of his is called The Pillow Man. It's completely brilliant, dark comedy. It's about 2 brothers in a jail cell in I'm not going to say post-apocalyptic, but a distant fascist future where people get thrown in jail for criticizing the state, and he embeds the whole play with these brilliant stories within stories that in and of themselves are genius. And it's a completely tragic story, but it's uproariously funny. I highly recommend The Pillow Man, The Cripple of Inishmaan. His plays are genius. Read them. Tom Stoppard. He's a brilliant playwright. I'm going to mangle this quote, but one thing that Tom Stoppard said about his work has informed my work for years, and it's that he's never trying to confuse people with his work. I'm paraphrasing here. He says, I never set out to write anything that is remotely bewildering. And I love that. Because as a writer, I feel like we should always be, even if we're trying to write things that are meaningful, hewing towards simplicity in that we want our audience to understand what we're talking about. I find it pretentious when the artist thinks they're smarter than the audience and tries to rub that in an audience member's face. So Tom Stoppard writes very brilliant, quick-paced stuff. He's one of the people behind, he wrote Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, a really wonderful play, but he's also one of the authors behind Shakespeare in Love, very brilliant screenplay, hit theaters years ago. But anyway, yeah, those are some of the people that I really love, some of the writers that inspire me. I'm gonna put a big list of them below, so check them out. I'm excited to get off the road. I've been at it for 3 weeks doing my poetry thing, but I'm psyched because I'm starting to put together my July music tour with a band. We're going to all hop in a van together, do like 17 or 18 big cities, and come to a town near you. So look out for that. Yeah, I got to go get a cat to lick the scruff up my lips. I'm getting disgusting. All right, guys. Peace.